So let's go deeper now. With me is David Kim. He's an analyst with the Stimson Center, where he focuses on nuclear and international security issues. So this summit, a long time in the making, but the big question is, can it lead to some sort of breakthrough on the nuclear diplomacy after the failure of what we saw in Hanoi?
I think President Putin had a good summit with with Chairman Kim. I think what he brings to the table is a commitment to enforce UN Security Council resolutions, while still making sure that he wants to show Russia as a player on an international stage. And so keeping that delicate balance between enforcing UN Security Council resolutions while also making sure that they abide by, well, they're continuing their diplomacy with Chairman Kim is a priority.
Right. President Putin talked about reviving the sort of six-party negotiations, which, of course, were the vehicle before Kim Jong-un came into power, and nearly led to success, but sort of broke down. Washington's not going to go for that, right? I mean, the one-on-one diplomacy is where this seems to be at.
I think Russia has a place to play further down the road. Right now, I think we're just trying to
calibrate. In what way? Sorry, guaranteeing certain things?
Security guarantees. President Putin said during the summit, during his press conference, that the Russians are committed to, that the North Koreans want a security guarantee, and the international fora could provide that kind of guarantee. But I think right now, both sides are calibrating after the failure of the Hanoi talks. And so I think while Russia still has a place to play on the denuclearization talks, it's still going to take some time until I think the U.S. and North Korea can get there.
Yeah, I mean, the six-party negotiations, basically security guarantees in return for getting rid of nuclear weapons. This sounds like formulas that have been tried before. But what we do have is this personal connection between Kim Jong-un and U.S. President Donald Trump, and it's very unorthodox. Putin perhaps as a go-between there, we heard from Dan in his report. And does that split the U.S. administration here in Washington? Because as we know, we have hawks like John Bolton who want complete denuclearization from the DPRK ahead of any lifting of sanctions, but others who want this sort of step-by-step approach, including potentially the U.S. president. So where are we going next on this?
I think it's important to keep in mind that Russia, along with China and the other three Security Council partners, are committed to enforcing sanctions until there is a commitment by North Korea for full denuclearization. And that's been Russia's priority, and it's been its position. And President Putin has been very clear that complete denuclearization is the end goal. I think right now what's important is that we keep an eye on keeping the diplomatic channel alive between Washington and Pyongyang, and continuing to have these conversations, whether it's in China with President Xi or with President Putin in Russia. And I think Russia's role right now is to play as an international guarantor, as someone who can provide economic, potentially humanitarian aid, and also continuing this economic diplomacy between South Korea and North Korea, including the railway system, oil and gas pipeline. But that's all under the auspices of continuing. If sanctions are lifted, then you can get to that point.
Yeah, I just want to wrap up on that, because this is where Russia can really come into sort of the renaissance and rapprochement on the Korean Peninsula, isn't it? Because its shared land border could actually help President Moon in the south, and of course the leader Kim as well. Is that what we're seeing a bit of here? A little bit of guarantees for the future?
I think President Putin's priority is to help reduce tensions on the Korean Peninsula, and creating more economic links, such as the railway system, will ensure that the Korean Peninsula keeps the reductions of tensions are a priority for the Korean Peninsula. I think President Moon has played kind of his maximum card by brokering this first diplomatic engagement between President Trump and Chairman Kim, and he will continue to play that role. And I think it's important for President Putin to play another role in this negotiation. And you know, it's also, I think North Korea is hedging, as China is the greatest partner, economic partner for North Korea. they see Russia as a potential alternative, a second fiddle to China.
Well, Kim Jong-un has certainly been putting in the diplomacy, not just obviously with the Americans as well. David Kim, Stimson Center, thanks so much for joining us. Really appreciate it.